Hey, this is the World Advice Channel too. What I want to talk about today is the problem with the 4B movement. So, what I'm going to talk about today when it comes to the 4B movement, which is this whole movement of women going their own way, which is just the male female equivalent, more like, of the male red pill movement, which is this whole idea that women don't want to date men anymore because they're tired of being abused, for that matter. Okay, that movement, for that matter, is what the 4B movement is about. This whole we're gonna go our own way. What I'm gonna talk about right now is the problem with that movement. Okay, so now I mentioned that, let's get started. So what exactly is the problem with the 4B movement? The problem with the 4B movement is it's a classic example of what happens when people believe they're right on everything. In other words, they're not taking accountability. Because the truth of the matter is, when it comes to, of course, dating, which of course is what this topic relates to, the biggest problem I have noticed with women is that they don't take accountability for some of their ways of thinking that make not only absolutely no sense, but are simply straight up dumb, for that matter. Okay, because one of the biggest things I've noticed, okay, for that matter, is women have this way of thinking that, oh, I don't want to date a nice guy, okay, because a nice guy is boring and this and that, okay, or I want to date a guy who acts like themselves. But the thing is, I have noticed about women is that when you actually act like yourself, like for example, you're not willing to help them take up stuff like bags or just help them do things for them, then they will start attacking you and saying stuff to you like, for that matter, to put it bluntly, all sorts of things towards you, like, for that matter, okay, that you are this, you are that, you are mean, and when you're dating women, you should always do things for them and stuff, for that matter. But when you start actually doing those things, and you're being nice and a so-called gentleman that they want you to be, then they start complaining, for that matter. Oh my goodness, you're a nice guy and this and that. And when you're a nice guy, the worst things tend to happen to nice guys in a relationship. Okay, for that matter. Okay, to be honest with you, whether it could be being told at the most randomest time that the woman wants to break up with you, and not just they want to break up with you, they give you the worst breakup story, the most breakup experiences, more like, okay? Like, it's not even a case of, okay, I just don't think we're the right type of people and it's respectful. It's a case of it came out of absolutely nowhere. You didn't give any signs of it. For that matter, you just randomly come out of nowhere and say, okay, we're breaking up right now. And they make comments like, oh well, you have to realize you can't get everything you want in life, or and things like that. That it's a case of, okay, it's not a case of it's respectable, when it comes to how you're doing a breakup, it's actually disrespectful because you're trying to say something that'll make the pain even much worse. Breakups are never easy for the person, specifically if the person actually genuinely loves the person. They're never easy. But it's a case of, I'm adding salt to the wound that you freaking created, okay? For that matter, to put it bluntly, okay? Because I'm giving you something really nasty to make you think about it after the breakup, of course, ends. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, to put it bluntly, okay? And women have been guilty of that for years, okay? Just randomly breaking up out of nowhere, and you didn't even see it coming, okay? For that matter. So that's one thing that happens to nice guys. Or if it's not that, they get cheated on in the worst possible way. It's not even a case of like they got cheated on and you just heard about it, but like they're cheating on you in your house and doing the most intimate sexual acts. Not even like the basics, for like the things that create procreation, or even just kissing. They're doing like the most sexual acts, you know, the most hardcore ones, for that matter, is what I mean. Like in your house, which of course I can't say on YouTube because I can get in trouble for that. But like the worst, most intimate sexual acts imaginable is the type of stuff that happens to nice guys. So what exactly do you want in a relationship? Okay, because when we as men are actually genuinely nice, you complain about it and say, this and that, oh, you should do more and this and that, and even try to tell them off sometimes. But when we're actually, you know, you know, someone for that matter is genuinely a nice guy, you know, then you give them you give them like the worst possible experiences imaginable. And that's exactly what I'm trying to say here. And that's why no one a lot of men don't want to date them. And don't get me wrong, though, okay? At least if you made it this far into watching the video, not being like some of these goofy people who watch one of my videos, which is that silly Lily Gaddis video I have. It's not a silly video, it's a good made video, but it's silly because of the comments I get who didn't even watch the whole fucking thing and they were making an opinion, which just shows you their low level of intelligence for the problem with Lily Gaddis video, that I made. Okay? At least if you made it up to here, because you're actually a logical, intelligent, you know, um, reasonable person, who has dignity and doesn't just dedicate their life to hitting people for God knows whatever reason, like the silly people who are still trying to spam me for the problem with Lily Gaddis video and say all sorts of things like my name is Darnell and all this type of crap. Those fucking losers, okay? I'm not hiding my words. The truth of the matter is, if you made it as far as this video, I just want to make it clear, okay? If you made it as far, which is good if you did, I realize these gender wars are stupid, okay? Because to put it bluntly, I'm just gonna keep it real, okay? Both sides are responsible for this. When it comes to the gender wars, men are responsible for the gender wars being as bad as they do, because men, when they get in relationships, um, they tend to spoil women, okay? They do everything for them, whether it could be unnecessarily doing things for them, um, doing unnecessary amount of things for them, okay, or it could be, of course, as well, to put it bluntly, um, to add to that as well, to put it bluntly, it could be maybe just being, willing to do everything for the woman. In other words, to sum it up, they don't have a good the ability to recognize if a woman is problematic or not, and sometimes even turn on their friends instantly if their friend is showing a degree of criticism for that woman. So that's a problem. Men tend to make in relationships, and women tend to make their own set of issues. Um, you know, when it comes to relationships as well. Okay, both sides need to do better, and the best way to resolve that issue is to set up a new set of rules for dating. But truth be told, aside from that, because I've decided I've made it clear, in the past for my videos that both sides are responsible for this gender war that's going on. But at the same time, you also have to understand, for that matter, okay, to put it bluntly, as well, okay, that a lot of the things women do, since I've criticized the male part of it too, but when it comes to the women, a lot of women have to be held accountable for their type of behavior, because a lot of women in general, even aside from the nice guy point I made, they just do a lot of negative things in relationships, okay? And a lot of those things, whether it could be just getting angry at you randomly for God knows whatever reason, and they're not even willing to just tell you, okay, I'm not in a mood to talk to you right now, and this and that. Those are things women have. And even growing up myself, from what I've heard, a lot of people have experienced, specifically people who, let's be honest, who don't have a lot of friends, and as a result of that, they didn't have as much back. I heard a lot of women have an attitude problem, especially growing up. Like sometimes women would just be mean to men for no reason, and it would start fights and a lot of arguments with people for no goddamn reason. Okay, um, and even bully people and stuff. And that's the truth of the matter is of the matter when it comes to this particular topic. Okay, of the problem with you know, um, you know, with a lot of women is that a lot of women, in all honesty, I'm gonna keep it 100% real, 110%. Most women, some of course are worse than others, but most women I notice tend to have an attitude, and they just kind of are just mean and nasty for no reason, and that's kind of the problem I have with the 4B movement. It's like is that a lot of women have this attitude and this type of bad behavior that they have, not only to others, but of course they, since this video is about relationships, they bring that stuff into relationships. And that's the problem I have with this whole 4B movement thing, is that a lot of women are not taking accountability for their behavior. Okay, let's blame men for everything. Let's not talk about the fact of all the effed up, fucked up things that we ourselves have done. Like a lot of women do some really terrible things to other people, which if you're not a strong person, it can make your self-esteem like be in like the freaking sewage system for that matter, okay? The truth of the matter is that a lot of women, in all honesty, to put it bluntly, 100% need to start taking accountability. This whole, I'm a bad bitch type culture that a lot of women have is not very good. And as a result, of it not being very good is making a lot of men not really want to be around them because a lot of women's behavior has been terrible. Okay. And most women, of course, most are mild and it's a small percentage who are really bad, have this really bad attitude and think they can do all sorts of things and get away with it. So the truth of the matter is, to put it bluntly, I just want to make it clear that there's both sides to the argument. It's not just one side or just men to blame. Um, for that matter, like you tend to hear a lot of cases from these type of people. There's also a lot of women who also cause problems too. So the truth of the matter is, what both sides need to do is start having a greater degree of accountability, to put it bluntly. As through, of course, that we can end this gender war shit, okay? And be on the path towards a better, happier future. And that is the truth of the matter, okay? So this gender stuff needs to stop. And one of the ways it can stop is for women to be accountable for a lot of their own behavior. And this is my video, and this is all I have to say, and see people I'm out. So bye.